Today on Let's Talk Jonesboro, we have Fire Chief Kevin Millar and Community Partnership Manager of Arkansas Early Learning, Lauren Isbell. And Arkansas Early Learning is the largest Head Start provider in Arkansas, and it's headquartered right here in Jonesboro. And we have Lauren. Lauren, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on with Arkansas Early Learning.
Sure. As you stated, we are the largest Head Start provider in Arkansas, and we've had the opportunity to expand beyond the borders of Craighead County and into now 10 counties in Arkansas. Some of those counties are newer than others. We've kind of been in the original 6 here in Northeast Arkansas for several years, and we just had the opportunity last year to add additional service areas in Central Arkansas, in North Pulaski County and Garland County. And then this year we are getting ready to break ground on new facilities in Saline County and Benton, which is kind of between Little Rock and Hot Springs, and over in Northwest Arkansas as well. In Benton County, we're going to be building 3 new facilities over there and partnering with some existing agencies as well to have Head Start classrooms in their facilities. So all in all, it's been a busy couple of years really with Arkansas Early Learning, but we're proud to call Jonesboro home and proud that our leadership is here and helping the city and helping our families here in our town as well.
Well, Head Start is a wonderful program, and you guys are taking it to a new level, I guess, these days.
Yes. One of the new initiatives of the traditional Head Start program is a program called Early Head Start. It actually starts serving the children and families at age 6 weeks and through 3 years, so they can transition from the Early Head Start program to the Head Start program. And then by the time that they hit kindergarten, we've really made sure that our school readiness goals have been achieved and that those kids are as prepared as they can be for that first day of kindergarten.
What types of things, I think probably, let's say for instance 40 odd years ago, anecdotally, you would start kindergarten at about age 5 or 6.
Yes.
Then you took it to 3 or 4, and now you're saying 6 weeks.
Yes.
What do you teach children at 6 weeks?
Well, our babies are learning gross motor skills. They are learning to interact with other children and other adults from that very young age. And what's great about the Early Head Start program is that once a child is in that program, we're making sure that they stay up to date on all those shots and immunizations that we start early. You hear the commercial on TV, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and goes all the way up to that first year. So there's lots of little appointments that they have to get in that first year. So we're really glad to be able to offer that guidance through that first year of life for that child. And then on into 2s and 3s as we navigate all the changes that come with growing, all the growing that happens in those kids' lives from those first few years.
And what types of things do you offer? Who are users of this service? Tell me about your typical family that uses this program.
Sure. Well, to utilize Early Head Start and Head Start, you do have to meet income guidelines. We are allowed to admit a certain percentage over income, but those spots, as you might imagine, go really fast, and it's limited at 10%. So most of our families fall at or below the federal poverty guidelines, with, like I said, some exception. We also can enroll homeless children and foster children. They are categorically eligible, which means they're automatically eligible for our program. And we can also accept children with disabilities, and we have a fantastic mental health and disabilities manager who helps make sure that the children are plugged in to the disability services that they need right from day one with our program. We have many providers throughout our service areas that help out with making sure if they need occupational therapy or physical therapy or whatever kind of therapy service. A lot of times they can come into our center and provide that during the school day for that child.
And I'm sure you've been around long enough, even though you're adding new things and services, I'm sure that you know the outcomes.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we like to talk about how if we can impact the first 5 years of these children's lives, we can change so much about their overall outcome. I mean, Head Start children are more likely to finish high school, more likely to go to college, and in the long run, it's a great investment for our community because it's a return on that. You're going to see a return on that investment. For every dollar you put into early childhood services, you're going to see a return on investment anywhere from $3 to $4 on down the road once those children are productive members of society. And that's our goal. I mean, I know that's a 20-year expanded goal to get those kids from in our program all the way through high school and college and those types of things. But it really can be a catalyst for change for the rest of their lives.
It's fabulous, and I believe Arkansas Early Learning has earned high ratings. Is that right?
Yes, all of our centers are ranked by Better Beginnings, and many of our facilities have the 3-star rating, which is the highest rating that you can receive. All of our programs are regulated by federal standards, so they're a little bit higher, in some cases a little bit, in some cases a lot higher than even your state minimum licensing requirements. And so you're getting the benefit of lower child to adult ratios, among other things that we try to ensure are happening with those kids when they're in our program.
What types of things make that a success? What type of things make the difference between a 3-star rating and, say, not a 3-star rating?
Child and teacher interactions, the amount of space the children have to do their certain activities throughout the day, meals that are served. There's a lot of different factors that factor into it, but those are just a few that I'm familiar with off the top of my head.
And I think you mentioned mental health and dental screenings.
Yes.
But now you have mental health services?
We do. We are, in fact, right now working to identify here in Jonesboro partners that can come to the table with us and help with providing additional assistance for child behavior in the classroom and help coach our teachers and help improve our teachers' skill sets that they have regarding children's behavior. And then also we can make referrals out to providers, or some providers can come into our centers and meet with children and families and really make sure that those obstacles that are there maybe early in life can be resolved or greatly improved by the time that they're entering the public school setting.
And do you find that the needs are growing?
Absolutely. I will be honest, our waiting lists in Jonesboro stay full. In some of our more rural areas, we might could enroll a child tomorrow, but in my opinion, that's a great sign because that means that families are seeing the value in what we're offering at Arkansas Early Learning and want to be a part of that. And so I would encourage anybody that's interested to go on our website and apply. We have an all online based application system at arearlylearning.org. If you don't have internet access, we have kiosks in all of our centers and at our central office on the corner of Caraway and Matthews. It's right there behind the new Jets bus station. Within walking distance, kind of share our parking lot backs up to them. So if you can get over there and go over to our central office there on Matthews, there's a kiosk in there, and we'll be glad to get your enrollment information and get you guys set up.
And if someone is interested in that and doesn't have immediate access to online, is there a phone number that they can call?
Our central office phone number is 870-931-1172.
Okay. And people need to call and simply say, I need help, I have a child.
If they're interested in enrolling, and we're enrolling right now for our Head Start program that starts in August. Now, our early Head Start, we have rolling enrollment, but it is year-round. So.
And once again, Head Start is 3- and 4-year-olds?
Yes.
And Early Head Start is 6 weeks
to 3 years.
To 3 years. That's fabulous. Tell me about your funding. Do you seek funding? Are you state and federally funded?
Almost all of our funding right now comes from federal sources. So Office of Head Start falls under the auspices of Department of Health and Human Services, and they provide all of our operational funding. We do seek foundation funding and other sources to fund specific projects, but we really have been primarily just funded with federal dollars over the last, since our founding in 2010. But we are always looking for ways to improve and enhance services in a way that's over and beyond what our federal dollars can cover. So we've certainly taken an interest in the last few years in securing those non-federal sources as well.
And if someone were interested in donating to Head Start or Early Head Start, how would they go about it?
Absolutely. That's my job. So you can give me a call at that same number, 870-931-1172. We're always looking for classroom volunteers, professional volunteers. When I say professional, I mean somebody that maybe has a skill or expertise that they can come in and share with our organization. Groups that would like to do parent workshops, that's always a need. I know we're working on some right now with, say, Simmons Bank. They're going to come in and do financial education literacy with our families. So any kind of organization or group like that would like to provide those services for our families, even on a one-time or ongoing basis, whichever we can accommodate either one. We also have space for just general office volunteers to come in. We're working on developing more internship opportunities. We've had a few students from the university come in and complete internships with us. We'd like to see that number grow over the next few years. We've got some really exciting projects that are kind of on the horizon that would be great for great experience for high school students, college students. We can really plug anybody or even retired individuals into those roles. So it'd be great.
That's good. And now you are located where right now?
Our central office is in, like I said, on Caraway and Matthews. And then we have 2 locations on North Church Street. They're kind of one right behind the other. And then we have another location on Biddle Street. But those are our Jonesboro locations. We also have 2 in Paragould, and Wynn, and Mark Tree, and Truman, and I could keep going. West Memphis, we've got a whole list of them there on our website. But those are kind of our Northeast Arkansas hub. Newport. So really, anybody that's especially in Northeast Arkansas, for this television market, I suppose, we can plug anybody in. And so to run all those centers and do all that needs to be done, we're always looking for volunteers and people who have an interest in children and employees too. We've got lots of openings that we would love to fill too. So those are also listed on our website. That's
fabulous. That's fabulous. Well, Lauren, I thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us on Let's Talk Jonesboro, and we very much appreciate the work you guys do.
Fantastic.
Our next guest is Fire Chief Kevin Millar, and Chief, thank you for coming and being our guest today.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Glad to be here.
Well, everybody knows and loves firemen because they rescue us. Fire is almost the wrong word, isn't it? Because you're a lot more than fire.
Absolutely, especially in today's time. We cover a lot of varieties. Yes, we are the fire department. That is our primary focus, but our main focus is public safety, is trying to take care of people, whether it's from a medical issue, vehicle accidents, to actual fires.
What type of training? What makes a good firefighter?
Well, there's a variety of training that goes into the effect, but firefighters in general, the firefighters here in the city of Jonesboro, we have an awesome group of people here in this fire department, men and women both. but they are the guy next door. They're the people that live down the street from you. You see them at church on weekends. You see them at the ball games. You see them at the store. They are literally your neighbor that lives just down the street from you. They're just everyday people. They have a certain commitment, a certain drive, and a certain passion that I believe that they truly want to try and serve and make things better. And that is the main goal, is to serve this community and try to help people in times of need. There's a variety of training that goes through this. From the day they start, they spend a great deal of time. They'll spend the first 15 weeks at what's called the Arkansas Fire Academy, learning everything from basic firefighting skills to emergency medical techniques. And that training never stops. Even once you come out of the Fire Academy, we do training constantly. That is constantly an ongoing process that we do year-round. But the best thing that makes a good firefighter is just someone that's willing to serve, willing to help, and willing to commit themselves to trying to help others.
In every job, there are people who are good and there are people who are great at it. What types of things, when do you recognize that you've really got somebody that's going to be good?
By and large, all of our guys are good. I've got a lot of guys that are really great. And that difference, I think, comes with that compassion, the compassion for the job. Nobody that's really in the fire service truly is getting into it for, to be blunt, for the money. They want to provide for their family, they want to try to provide for their future, but they're doing it because they truly feel like they can make a difference. There is a certain calling with this. Yes, there is a certain excitement that goes with it. There's a certain glamour. It's not like what you see on TV and the other TV shows, Chicago Fire and stuff like that. It's not quite like that. There are days where there's a lot of, you'll go for 20 hours of just boredom, followed by 10 minutes of excitement and 2 minutes of sheer terror that's associated with the run that they're going to. And then you have to try and level back out from that. But that people that are willing to take on that commitment, to be able to go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, that says something about an individual that they're willing to do that in that level of commitment. And not everybody has that calling and the willingness to do that.
Absolutely not. And there are certain professions that I particularly hold in high regard because every encounter you have is with someone in stress.
Absolutely. No one ever calls 911 to say everything's okay. The only time anybody ever calls us is if something's wrong. We never get calls saying, hi, everything's fine today, we don't need you. So the only time we get called is when somebody needs us and there's a problem. And those problems vary from a variety of things. It could be someone that's having chest pains and feels like they're having a heart attack. It could be somebody that's involved in a vehicle accident, someone who has fell and suffered a fall and maybe a traumatic injury, to a small kitchen fire that is spreading out through the rest of their house, to a grass fire that's gotten out of control. We specialize also in a lot of the strange and unusual things. When someone's not really sure what to do or how to handle or fix a problem, unless there's somebody being arrested or going to jail, they call the fire department. We'll figure it out. That's why we also have to be trained in a variety of equipment, a variety of techniques, and a variety of situations, because we specialize in the strange and unusual. We're going to go there, we're going to try to do what we can to make things better and to help be able to make the situation stabilize and go away. That's what we specialize in.
Tell me how many runs you guys make a year. Like we said, it's not all about fires.
It's not all about fires. We do make a variety of runs on a lot of things. We'll average between 4,000 and 4,500 calls a year. And that is everything from the full-blown house fires to false alarms to someone that's having chest pains to welfare checks, going to install smoke detectors in someone's house. So that covers a little bit of everything. During certain times of the year when we have storms and lightning strikes and this sort of nature. So we cover a variety of runs, but we'll make over 4,000 calls a year.
How were you prepared? And the opposite of fire is a flood, and we recently had a terrible flood. Mm-hmm. You guys did a lot of quick response.
Yes, all the emergency services, us, fire, police, EMS, individuals even from the street departments and other city departments all bonded together to help with that unique event. There are different types of weather events that will occur periodically. The flood is the most recent one that we challenged. Obviously, the issues that we had being able to get access to certain areas, the housing floods, the houses that were being flooded, the ability to be able to get these people out of their area into a safe location until the waters receded. Also, during certain times of year, we have incidents. In the wintertime, we've had and experienced some severe incidents with ice storms, severe power outages. And when that occurs, if it's a short-term effect, it's not as bad, but over the long term, you have to realize, especially in the wintertime, the temperature's going down, people are getting cold, people will get very creative on trying to find a way to stay warm. And when they seem to get more creative, we seem to get busier. That's about the nicest way I can put it. They get very creative on how to stay warm.
That's interesting.
But storms in general, windstorms, tornadoes, earthquakes, we had to be prepared on a variety of disasters, whether man-made or natural disasters, that we have to be prepared to try to respond and act as fast as we can to mitigate the situation.
You know, and I'm thinking of the history of fire prevention, and I was speaking a while back with a fire chief from China who said one of the things they're trained in was to build a human ladder where one guy climbs on it, the next guy's back, and they can go up 3 or 4 flights doing that. I mean, you guys don't do that. I'm assuming we don't need that. But what types of equipment do you have?
And a lot of it's based on the equipment, and I'm familiar with what you're talking about, and a lot of it is lack of resources, lack of equipment. Yeah. We are very blessed here in this community to have some of the best state-of-the-art equipment in the state. We try to maintain, take care of, and keep our equipment fully operational and function. We operate 7 stations right now spread throughout the community. We have roughly a little over 80 square miles of territory with 7 stations. Now that's a lot of territory with not many stations. Now out of each one of those stations we have at least 1 engine company. So we have 7 engine companies. We also have 3 ladder companies also stationed at a couple of those engine companies that provide various sorts of equipment. Obviously a ladder company is the bigger trucks with the tall ladders that use us to be able to get up on top of taller buildings, some of our high rises. And we have a couple of other rescue units that we respond, dealing primarily with medical issues and our vehicle accidents. So we have a variety of specialized equipment, and that's part of what we constantly are training with to be able to keep up to date and be proficient with that equipment.
That's interesting, and one piece of equipment that I think Jonesboro is a leader in right now is Optic Columns. Can you tell people what Optic Columns are and how they work?
Absolutely. Over the last year or so, we have been migrating to what is referred to as an Opticom system. Basically, that is a system that is incorporated with our street lights, where our red lights are at throughout the town. Now, we have a little over 80 controlled intersections, 80 street lights throughout the city of Jonesboro. Now, we all know that traffic can be and is an issue in town, especially in certain areas and certain times of day. So the traffic congestion causes a severe problem for us as far as response time. Responding to an incident, getting there as fast as we can, whether it's for a medical or for a fire, is extremely critical to us. So response time is a very, very big issue with us. So the faster we can get there, the sooner we can mitigate the situation and make things better. The Opticom systems helps the fire trucks basically control the intersection. What that means is when we get a call, when we turn our lights and sirens on, it activates a signal that is sent to the intersections that we're going to that will basically turn that light green in the direction that we're heading. So by the time we get to that intersection, hopefully the existing traffic has moved through and we now, what we say, control that intersection, and the fire truck is able to proceed through that intersection at a faster rate of speed without having to stop and necessarily clear the intersection and wait for traffic. It improves our response time. We had that on roughly 18 intersections right now out of the 80. We are looking at ways to try to be able to add more of those in the future through various programs, various grants that we're trying to be able to fund to have more of the Opticom systems installed around the city. We have already seen very significant increases in our response time and have been very beneficial in the areas that we have put these lights in. Most of the general public won't even see or know that this event is even going on. They may be pulling up to a light and it may turn red on their side where it normally would have lasted for another few seconds, and then the next thing you know, they'll see a fire truck go through, and as soon as the fire truck clears that intersection, the light reverts back to its normal function and goes back to its normal cycle and lets traffic flow through in a normal way. So most people won't even know it's really even going on and will have very little impact on the rest of the public. But it does provide a huge safety factor, not just in the speed of us to be able to get there, but by controlling that intersection, it's less likely that we would be involved in or cause an accident at an intersection. But not every intersection has those now.
I see. Well, there's a lot of benefits, and one is if you or a loved one were in an accident and in pain, much less potentially the life-saving minutes.
Absolutely. I mean, the general guideline is, say you're suffering from a severe event, a heart attack. the general line is, how long can you hold your breath? If you can only go 4 minutes without oxygen before you die, that 4 minutes is critical to us. So anything that's going to speed up that response time so us, the medical EMS, are able to get there safer and faster, then that's going to absolutely be a benefit to the citizens, a direct benefit that we're hoping to be able to expand on in the near future.
Your insurance services rating is it's the most excellent you can have, right?
Absolutely. There's an organization called Insurance Services Office. They are an independent company that evaluate all the fire departments all across the country. There are roughly 46,000 fire departments in the United States. So they come in and do an independent analysis of every fire department, basically evaluating on your efficiency to be able to respond to and put out a fire. All right. So the faster and more efficient you're able to do that, the less damage to the property, the more lives are saved, then obviously the better and more efficient you're going to be. So they evaluate you, and they have a very, very comprehensive grading process. And they evaluate you on 3 major factors. Your 911 system, the ability for the general public to call and report a fire. Your water supply system, the ability to have water in the area to be able to put a fire out. And the fire department itself on its equipment, its personnel, and their response, and be able to do an efficient job when they arrive on the scene. So they grade and evaluate all these different factors, and they come up with a rating scale basically from 1 to 10. 1 being the best, 10 being no fire protection. For the last probably 15 years, the city of Jonesboro has been a Class 3 fire rating, which is not bad. That's a pretty good rating. The better your rating on a scale of 1 to 10, basically, the cheaper your insurance is. Whether your homeowner's insurance, your commercial or industrial insurance, but whatever your insurance policy is, the better the rating, the lower your insurance premiums are. We've been a Class 3 for many years. ISO, they come around and evaluate you periodically, about every 3 to 4 years. We have made some major upgrades in the city of Jonesboro over the last few years with relocating some of our stations and trying to upgrade some of our equipment. That is finally paying off for us, and when ISO came in and evaluated us last fall, they gave us a new grading, and we went from a Class 3 to we are now a Class 1 fire department. And that's very, very beneficial and very critical and very impressive from a fire department standpoint. Out of that 46,000 fire departments in the entire country, roughly only 150 have a Class 1 rating. Now, at a minimum, and it will vary from insurance company to insurance company. I'm not saying that everybody's insurance is going to go down, but at a minimum, it is worth an inquiry to your local insurance agents. Hey, what could this have an effect on my policy? Could this possibly have a reduction? I have personally checked on my own. It's not going to be much, but at least it's not going down. But I am going to see a small reduction in my insurance premium for my homeowner's insurance. It could have even more of an impact on people that have commercial and industrial insurance policies. So at a minimum, they should be able to check with their insurance adjuster and their agents to see what impact it could have on their insurance. And we think that's definitely going to be beneficial for a cost savings to them.
So you're saving money as well as health and lives?
Yes, we're trying to save money as well as lives. Our main goal is to protect lives, save lives and protect property. That is our primary mission statement. But if we can also do it in an area in a way that makes it more efficient and cost effective for the citizens of Jonesboro, that's another bonus we can put back into the community.
And that's an interesting point too, Chief, because you're saying that Jonesboro is a growing city, and as it grows, you have to kind of adapt and be malleable.
Yes, the city of Jonesboro has been truly blessed, as many people have said, over the last 15 years. The growth has continued, and we don't necessarily see that slowing down anytime soon. Our challenge from the fire department side is to keep up with that growth. All the changes and everything we've done over the last 10 years, 7 to 10 years, have been awesome, but we still are going to have to keep moving forward to keep up with that growth. Everyone can see the phenomenal growth that's going on what we call the Highway 49 corridor out towards Hilltop in that area with the new hospital development. There's a lot of still residential development that's going on in the southwest part of town. There is a lot of multifamily development going on in various spaces. The continued renewal and upgrade of the downtown area. These are all great benefits to the city. Our challenge is to keep up with that growth. As I mentioned earlier, we have 80 square miles of territory. Just to give you a kind of reference to some cities that are comparable to us. The city of Conway has roughly 35 to 40 square miles. They're operating 7 stations with roughly 40 square miles. We have 7 stations with 80 square miles. The city of Fayetteville, very comparable to us. has roughly 48 square miles with 7 stations. We have 80 square miles. That's a lot of territory. That's a lot of issues to cover. From the industrial park, from one side, to the heavily concentrated business area around Redwood Boulevard, to the downtown area, to the housing in the west end area of town. These are all great assets of the community. Our job is to be able to provide the coverage to keep up with that growth and the continued growth that we're expected to see.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is we've got the 4th of July coming, and I know you've never had any experiences with anyone misbehaving with fireworks.
Absolutely. It is illegal to be shooting, discharging fireworks inside the city limits of Jonesboro. We know this. We absolutely encourage everyone. There are 2 very good produced fireworks displays that occur in the Jonesboro area every year. One, I believe, is going to be at Southside Ballpark, and the other one's going to be at Joe Mack Campbell Park this year. We encourage you and your family to go to those areas and watch those. They're very safe, very sponsored, and can be a good opportunity to enjoy the fireworks. We do know people sometimes will also be using the personal fireworks. We discourage anybody using those in the city of Jonesboro, but even if you're outside the city of Jonesboro, we recommend basic safety. Have an adult around, have some adult supervision. Don't try to do anything that's not recommended by the manufacturer. You don't be holding the fireworks, don't be carrying them in your hand and something inadvertently discharges. Time after time after time, the emergency rooms will be filled that weekend with people who have accidentally let fireworks go off in their hand and suffered anywhere from minor to severe injuries. So we encourage everybody to be safe, to use some common sense, and we hope that you will come to one of the sponsored events to be able to enjoy the 4th of July, celebrate our independence, and be able to watch one of the sponsored 4th of July fireworks displays.
And just to illustrate the point, that people want to have fun and they want to enjoy their fireworks.
Absolutely.
Can you describe maybe one of the worst outcomes that you've seen, or?
We have had several incidents that have occurred on and around 4th of July. And sometimes, especially this time of year, things get dry. It may not always have rained recently, and things get dry. Inadvertently, even discharging the fireworks can cause unintended consequences. We've had several fires that have occurred. Some have been major grass fires. We've even had some where several buildings have been severely burned and damaged and destroyed by the accidental use of fireworks catching the buildings on fire. These are the unintended consequences that people don't realize, especially shooting them in condensed areas and populated areas around the city. They can have issues. It can set other things on fire. It has happened, and we don't want that to occur again.
Very good, very good. And now these sponsored events that we have coming up, one's at Joe Mack Campbell, one is, where's the other one?
I believe it's Southside Ballpark out by the Miracle League,
right,
out off Highway 1.
Right, and those are both on the 4th of July?
4th of July, yes.
And that is a Monday, the 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Chief, thank you for taking the time to be on Let's Talk Jonesboro.
I appreciate the opportunity. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.